Well, pardon me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Friday, August the 8th, Donald Trump's deadline day for progress with the Russians. That makes this the news for Thursday, August 7th, 2025, day 1261 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. How do you do? I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, coming to you live from this major European capital currently at war. I see the peeps are coming in. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Nightshade. How's everybody doing? Hey, Akron. Hey, Rob Walker. Jacob Grady. Hey, Mike Now. Hey, Kiwi Annie. Arna. Hey, how you doing, man? Van. My man Van. You got the boerewors on the grill. Hey, Bjorn. Mr. Pickering, Jackie, Avi. Hey, Seawolf. How's everybody doing? Seawolf and Nutmegger sponsored last night's live. Big thanks to them. Arn sponsored Monday and Tuesday. Big thanks to him. And tonight it's going to be Chris Carter and Lil Red Sunflower. So thank you, guys. Kiwi Annie says, had sleep. Well, you know, the attacks on Kyiv have been extraordinarily light this week. However, last night, I have to tell you, Annie, just while we're waiting for people to come in, right? Let me fill a little time here. You guys know it's midnight here. By the time the live is over, it's 1 a.m. By the time the video is rendered and posted to YouTube, I get to bed about 3 o'clock in the morning every single night, Monday through Friday. Today I had one of the most extraordinary days, perhaps the most extraordinary day of all the time I've had here in Ukraine. And the day started early. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. The day started early. I didn't get home here until after 8. And I took a nap. I did take a nap before the live. You guys know, how many of you guys have been on one of my lives when we were under a missile and drone attack and you could hear it, right? How many of you have had that visceral experience of watching me jump because it was so close, right? Like you could hear it. Well, Nightshade, you don't count. You're like a pillar of the community, you know? So I would expect that to have happened to you, right? And Maddie, right, too, right? Now, just imagine, right? Now, that's just 1 hour of my day. And we sometimes have 3 air alerts a day. Air defense is working all the time. For 2.5 years of living in this city, I have had a deep gratitude toward the mobile air defense units of the 112th Brigade that guard this city, guard us in our sleep, protect us from death on the wing sent from the Russians. So for 2.5 years, you know, I've had this deep gratitude to these guys and distant respect for them. And today I got to spend the entire day with them. Holy cow. What these guys get up to and the technology that they are exploiting, and not just that, to see how people who have nothing and have accomplished so much with so little for so long, it's astonishing to hold in my hand. Are you ready for this? Now dig this. A 1934 Soviet autocannon. 1934. We talk a lot on this channel about how Patriots are used for Kinzhal missiles, right? Layered air defense, how different weapons come in at different points. These guys sitting out here, somewhere on the banks of the Dnipro so that they got a clear shot at the drones, but not the houses. These guys are using weapons with a manufacture date of 1934 to shoot down these drones every night. And you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, it's 2025. You're telling me that gun is 91 years old. That gun is 91 years old. How is it so effective? How is it that a gun with a maximum range of about 2 kilometers fires a bullet that's smaller than the bullets I use in my deer guns at home? How is it possible that gun can do what it does every night? There's 2 things. The first is the Ukrainians do what they always do. They miraculously blend doctrine and digitalization to create a new sphere of warfare in the 21st century. What did they do? They got a thermal camera from the United States, mounted it on the front of these guns, and then they put that into a thermal display at the back. Day or night, they can see those drones, target them with that gun, and take them out. Now, they were not able to share with me how effective they are or how many they've personally disabled with this particular gun that I was able to see. But most of these guys have been doing this with those weapons since the start of the war. 3.5 years. Using a gun from 1934, which at first they didn't have the thermal imaging. That's like maybe 18 months now they've had that. And they bought it with their own money. I would point that out. Ukraine doesn't have money, except what the West basically gives them. The Russians destroyed 46% of this economy when they came in. So many of these guys gave up their businesses and livelihoods to protect the future of a sovereign Ukraine. So I said that there were 2 things that make it possible that you could use that 92-year-old gun so effectively. The first is the blending of modern technology in the thermal imaging. The second is the sheer grit, will, and determination of these Ukrainians. That's what it is. That's what makes the difference. The willingness to commit, and not just commit, but put your money where your mouth is. Live your life for this cause without blinking. And it doesn't hurt that some of these guys have wives that send blueberry baked goodies with them, to work every day or whatever, right? Big thanks to Paul's wife. They were fucking delicious, baby. Fun, delicious. So today was a good day for me. Okay, So let's take a look because we got a lot going on here. Despite the fact that I was not able to look at a screen all day, at least not a screen of my own, because I got to tell you, I was in the training center too. Look, if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to love the videos you're going to see tomorrow. But they're going to be on Patreon, not on TikTok. So if you don't have a free Patreon account, please install the Patreon app, follow me on Patreon, and tomorrow the Patreon folks are going to be treated to an inside look at what my day was like today. I'm deeply grateful to everybody involved that made it possible. Okay, so a couple of things. Last night, again, a scaled down air attack, 112 drones. I can't believe we're living in a world where I would say something like just 112 drones last night. You know, each one is packed with 200 pounds of TNT, fragmentation grenades, chemical weapons. But anyway, 112 drones last night, 80% interception rate by the very guys I'm talking about, right? The big news, I guess, is that out of yesterday's meeting with Whitkoff, Putin and Trump are talking about having a meeting. For me, personally, where I would start with this is that if Donald Trump's handlers can keep him from meeting with Putin alone, the world will be better off for it. Under no circumstances should Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin be left in a room alone with no interpreters and no listening devices. No, that is a bad idea. Hey, there's one of our sponsors. There's Little Red. She says he has no handlers. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I'm definitely not so sure about that anymore. He is off the deep end, this guy. The shit coming out of his mouth is not coherent. I mean, the Republicans loved busting Joe Biden's ass for dementia. I don't know how they don't see the exact same thing with Trump. He's nutso. Anyway, Trump expressed optimism from the meeting, saying that great progress was made, and he looks forward to meeting with Vladimir, but stressed that sanctions are real and on the table. I don't know where they're going to meet. Now, the sites that have been suggested include Saudi Arabia, of course, right? Because Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the United States are the three largest oil producers in the world. And these three bastards are in cahoots. There's just no two ways about it. Remember, in 2018, Vladimir and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia agreed to lower prices to the point where they would bankrupt the American shale oil industry. If ever there was a war about oil and the rule of the oligarchs, it's this war. So the three of them together in Saudi Arabia is a nightmare beyond words. Turkey has also been suggested, as has China. And since Trump wants a meeting with Xi, China's on the table as a possible location for this. China, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, like the United States, are not signatories to the International Criminal or to the Rome Statute, which enables the International Criminal Court. So none of these countries would be under an obligation to arrest him. Likely, this is all just another play for time. Many analysts and outlets are suggesting that Putin just getting a meeting with Trump is a big win for Vladimir Putin and Russia. It is certainly a PR win that legitimizes him in the world. You know, that's the thing. I'm trying to think, like, you can fly to Turkey without going over anybody else's airspace but Russian airspace. You can fly to China without going over anybody else's airspace but Chinese airspace. You cannot fly to Saudi Arabia without going over Iranian airspace or Jordanian airspace or Syrian airspace. And who's to say that there isn't somebody out there with a plane and some diplomatic connections on one of those places that might not try to force his plane down in an ICC territory? That would be something. Trump will never, no, there's no way anybody's going to let Trump go to Russia. That's not going to happen. No. They're taking Americans hostage in Russia right now. If Trump went to Russia, the only reason he would go there would be to flee prosecution in the United States. So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe Trump has decided that Epstein is too hot and he needs to flee prosecution. Maybe he'll have a Steven Seagal moment and he'll turn tail and run. My God, wouldn't that make life so much easier? But it's not going to happen because Putin and Trump are deluded. They always believe that they're winning. They believe that they are undefeatable. They will always double down. Feisty, it's what I do best. Careful. Putin says he's happy to meet with Zelensky. If only he would agree to a couple conditions. What are those conditions? He must withdraw his troops from the 4 occupied territories and surrender them to Russia, including those parts of the territories that Russia has never set a foot on. He must also renounce any intention of joining NATO. So Russia is happy to meet with Ukraine as long as they surrender first. We're still there. We're still at that point. Let's see. What does this say? Air, fire, only benefits. Oh, there's a lot of talk about an air ceasefire, right? No more missiles and drones, just the land war. That only benefits Putin. And I'm very concerned that Trump may try to force it on Ukraine. But we shall see. EU is completely locked out of the negotiations. There is nobody from Europe invited to these negotiations. And the Europeans have noticed. Dear God, please, Mr. Merz, Mr. Macron, Mr. Starmer, somebody crash this meeting. Hey guys, just happen to be in the neighborhood. If this meeting will even happen, I cannot imagine that Vladimir Putin's mental health is stable enough to let him leave Russia. It seems more likely that this is going to be a delay tactic to put off further talks. First, we'll hear that it's not going to be next week, it's going to be the week after. Then we'll hear it's not going to be the week after next, it's going to be in 3 weeks, etc., etc., etc. So we shall see what happens. So Zelensky, for his part, says Russia may be open to a ceasefire and that the pressure is working. Now, against this, again, for me, I have very little faith any of this will happen. This seems, again, like Putin disseminating and playing for time. And two of the reasons that I say that is because against this backdrop of apparent diplomatic progress, last night on Russian TV Live, a senior advisor to Putin on quote unquote ethnic affairs said the words on state TV, we want Ukraine to stop existing as a state. Quote, we want its people gone. Let's call it emigration. Emigration, not genocide. That is a direct quote. He goes on to say, that's our goal. Clearly it is. So with a senior member of Putin's staff a senior advisor to Putin, saying these words on Russian state TV last night. How do we take seriously any of this diplomatic talk? How do we think that this is not theater? And my friends, it gets much worse because I said there were two reasons I believe that this was nothing but bullshit from the Russians. And the second reason is far, far worse. And you know we do not talk about it here. Because every time we bring it up, I get banned. My live gets banned for a week. But I'm going to bring it up again. And I will try to watch my mouth this time. We know that there are at least 20,000 kidnapped Ukrainian children currently in re-education camps or unaccounted for inside Russia. Today, the website and charity Save Ukraine disclosed a Russian website where people can choose Ukrainian children who respect adults. Quote from the website, who respect adults. To meet. And you can choose your child based on hair color, eye color, height, weight, and age. Now, most of the reporting on this says that it's an adoption website. And it's true, there is an adoption page there. But it is not the focus. The focus is respectful children you can meet based on eye color, hair color, age, weight, and height. I'm sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little. So I will leave you to ponder that. And I will try not to get banned. While I talk about how Russia is on fire. Because last night, while Russia could only manage to scrape together 112 drones to send at Ukraine, and while the boys took care of them en masse, Russia did not fare so well. What their defense doing? What their defense doing, motherfuckers? A Pitsky oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai, a mid-range facility, 6.5 million tons of crude oil processed a year, saw its cracking tower hit and the gas condensate workshop hit. Now, the gas condensate workshop means you can't make diesel fuel. Without that particular piece of equipment, you don't get to make diesel anymore. The cracking tower taken out means you don't get to make gasoline and kerosene and asphalt anymore. So the practical upshot of last night's strikes on a Pitsky is that now the third oil refinery in Russia is now closed for business of this year. So 3 of the 22 oil refineries that we track are completely closed right now. And one of the largest in Nizhny Novgorod is down to 50% production. This was the 4th strike on this refinery over the last 18 months or so. And it seems to have been quite effective, as officials have stated that the plant is shut down. Next door, also in Krasnodar Krai, Artillery Brigade Unit 6161 and the 76th Air Repair and Recovery Battalion were also targeted. Explosions were heard on the military base. Ambulances and fire trucks responded to the attack. Naval USVs in Novorossiysk, residents reported multiple explosions were recorded on the territory of the Black Sea Fleet. Novorossiysk is that deep water port across the Black Sea where the Black Sea Fleet has retreated to because it can't stay in Crimea anymore. Dominic Nichols, today on Ukraine, the latest, the podcast, mentioned that the Ukrainians drove the Black Sea Fleet away. Ukraine is a country without a navy. Unless naval drones count as a navy, discuss. And to me, that simple comment was extraordinarily insightful, because the nature, right? Look, Ukraine is 20% the size of Russia. It's got less than like a quarter. It's got about a quarter of the population of Russia. It has something like 1/10 of 1% of the GDP, because Russia's GDP is 4% and Ukraine GDP is like 0.68% of global GDP, so less than a quarter. Russia had every advantage in this war. Russia should have done what they said they were going to do and been in Kyiv in 3 days. It is only through the sheer incompetence, corruption, and rot of the failed state of the Russian Federation that Ukraine was not wiped out immediately. In the ensuing years, in the crucible of this war, while Russia has just thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at Ukraine, the Ukrainians have been smart. They've been united. They have innovated. And they have changed. We have to ask ourselves, a country with no navy that drives another country's navy out of their ports to hide another 200 miles away for their own safety, having sunk fully half the tonnage of that foreign navy, and you don't have a navy, but you did it with naval drones, do they count as a navy? Well, if you've got control of the western half of the Black Sea, you must have some kind of navy, right? Well, anyway, discuss amongst yourselves. Are USVs a navy or not? I thought it was a great question. You know, I love those guys. If you don't listen to them, I encourage you to listen. They're much better than me. You should stop listening to me, and you should listen to them. No more railroad infrastructure was hit out in Volgograd. The Ukrainians are claiming it's a logistics hub for the Russian Southern Military District, which it almost certainly is. In Crimea, according to the GUR, the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, multiple high-volume targets, quote unquote, were struck in Crimea last night. A fast assault landing vessel of the Project 02510BK6, right? The Russians designate ships as these project classes. So for anybody interested in that kind of technical detail, it's 02510BK6. It's a fast landing ship, right? It's like the kind of ship you saw land on the beaches of Normandy in every World War II film you ever saw. Bunch of troops, ship gets up on the shore, drops the gate, troops disembark. And they're fast. They're meant to get in and get out, get more guys back. That was destroyed. 3 radar stations, a Nibu SVU long-range radar, $100 million system, gone. Podlet K1 for identifying low-flying objects, gone. 96L6E mobile air surveillance radar, gone. These are serious losses of Crimean air defense radars. And they will, if they are not replaced, if other air defense radars are not brought in from wherever else they are, you're going to have holes in your radar coverage. You're not going to be able to sight those drones that are coming in. And of course, this is Ukraine's intention, to blind the Russians in Crimea as the pressure, the siege of Crimea gets increasingly intense. And that's exactly what's going on. Okay, on the front lines, Udachny. The Russians have secured their position. This is in the Pokrovsk direction. This is also where we saw the third incidence of a civilian simply being summarily executed in the street this year. A guy who was fleeing the Russian advance with a suitcase on the road, unarmed apparently. The prosecutor's general's office opened a case yesterday on this one. Trouble with the neighbors. You can probably hear those sirens. Russia's push into Dnipropetrovsk slows at the Vovcha River. Terrain and close quarters combat make at further advance there increasingly difficult. In Zaporizhia, we saw a fully loaded BM-21 Grad multi-launch rocket system destroyed. It is worth mentioning that those systems, they're old systems, right? And we're seeing less and less of them because the Russians have been pushing them to the front, using them, and the Ukrainians keep taking them out. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about the decay, the rot, the failure of the Russians. Who can name the big modern tank that was supposed to be the premier tank of the Russian Federation, and they were going to replace all the old T-72s, T-74s, T-80s, T-90s? What was the name of that tank? The Seawolf is first, without going over. The Armada, right? Supposed to replace it with that. Never happened, right? Well, the same thing is true of the BM-21 Grads. They were supposed to be replaced by the Jurgens. Now, you never heard of a Jurgen because just like the T-14 Armadas, the Russians only made a dozen of them, a dozen prototypes, and they never made any more. So, yeah, we did see a couple of them get destroyed on the battlefield, but their battlefield replacements have just never been produced. There's another good example of that, too, and I can't think of what it is. Tanks, APCs. What else were they supposed to produce that they never did? I mean, you could say the S-500, I guess, but not the same. Hey, Flip. How you doing, buddy? I'm making ribs. Russia says, now Russia is claiming that the UK is planning false flags to attack and sink Russian oil shadow fleet tankers. Okay. The UK says that it is determined to address the threat of the shadow fleet, but has yet to physically interdict any shadow fleet vessels since it made the promise to do so 46 days ago. And in fact, in the last 46 days, since NATO said that they would begin these operations of interdiction, the Shadow Fleet has transited the Baltic Sea with at least 20 ships. Oh, right, that's what it was, the Su-57, Lars. Thank you. The Su-57 was supposed to be the latest and greatest fighter jet. Stealth, baby, stealth. But just never materialized. Because the generals stole all the money. Because that's what you do in Russia if you're a general. No, the Admiral Kutuzov has been in port sucking up billions of dollars in repair costs for 20 years. And now they finally said they're going to scrap it. All right. Train cars from the far east of Russia have been spotted. You ready for this? Remember when the Russian trolls used to tell us, just wait, Russia hasn't sent its best equipment to Ukraine. No, they're holding back the best equipment till they really need it. Well, we saw train cars today loaded with T-62s. Right, that means they were made in 1962. Tanks. And BMP-1s with cope cages attached on trains coming from the east. That's their latest and greatest. Shit from the 1960s. The first version of the BMP. Now, in economic news from the Russian Federation, don't worry, it's all good. No, it's not. The largest cement producer has, citing a drop in demand, has cut its workforce to 4 days a week. As are all now car manufacturers in Russia. All car manufacturers, cement producers, they're falling back to a 4-day week. Same is happening in construction. The CEO of Autovez, which is a major car manufacturer inside Russia, on the subject of why their new cars no longer offer power windows, right? Like it's 1977, no power windows, no air conditioning, and no radio. Said people don't need air conditioning. Basic options like radio, AC, and power windows are no longer available on standard models and may not be available as option packages on more expensive versions. Phew. Russian oil and gas tax revenues are down 27% year over year from last July. Remember, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I guess it's 8 months ago now, isn't it? Putin replaced Shoigu as defense minister with an economist. There's a reason for that. Russia is going broke in this war. And here's the evidence. Citing lower prices on per barrel oil sales and a failure to meet the goal of, I think it was 9,040,000 barrels a day, something like that. And they fell short by about 23,000 barrels a day. Now over the course, no, 29,000 barrels a day. So over the course of a month, that's 900,000 barrels. That's 1 million barrels of oil they didn't produce. Mr. Global made the point that Saudi Arabia could well be ramping up its oil production because it believes that Russia is going to fail. And the 5 million barrels of oil a day that Russia puts on the open market we're going to need backfill if we're going to keep the price of oil stable. So, and I thought that it was a very interesting analysis. Ooh, I'm a dragon. Who told you? I thought that was a very interesting analysis. And it reminded me of how back in 2018, we saw collusion between the Saudis and the Russians to try to bankrupt American oil, shale oil businesses. And it seems to me that Saudi Arabia has decided, by increasing production, that it was going to bet that either Russia was going to fail in its ability to keep producing oil, and so the price of oil would shoot up and it would make a fortune, or Russia would continue to be able to produce oil and the price of oil would continue to fall, and he'd get to bankrupt the American shale oil business anyway, like he wanted to do back in 2018. So it's a win-win for him. Whichever way it goes, Mohammed bin Salman will win. That's probably something close to what's going on in that guy's head. Russia's largest shipyard is laying off staff amid a $12.4 billion shortfall. It cited insufficient product volume and a need to match staff to workload. People just aren't buying Russian ships. Imagine your surprise as we watch them snap in half in storms in the Black Sea. There is some good news from the Russian economy. Are you ready for this? Funeral services have seen double-digit growth, up 16%, $501 million. New businesses are up by 20% in funeral services. Yep, it's really astonishing. All right, my final thought here, it actually comes again from Dominic Nichols. The guy was on a roll today. You should hear him. Dominic Nichols today said something that struck me hard. It really, I've been very emotional today. I don't know why. I'm probably getting sick. That's when I get emotional. But he said these words. On the subject of the meeting with Trump being a win for Vladimir Putin, Dominic Nichols said the words, "Every day Ukraine exists is a defeat for Russia." And I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I thought, yes, that's where we're at in this war. Every day that Ukraine exists is a defeat for Russia. And the cumulative effect of those defeats is about to result in the most significant cognitive dissonance that any people on this planet have suffered since the Japanese and the Germans at the end of World War II. Russia is going to be faced with its own failures, its own defeat at the hands of an enemy who should have been defeated easily and has resisted every day for 3.5 years. Let's just hope that somehow Donnie and Vlad, sad, mad, bad Vlad, don't figure out a way to fuck us all. Because, goddamn it, they are trying to figure out a way to fuck us all. And the exclusion of the Europeans and Zelensky from peace talks on Ukraine should be not a red flag, but a fucking red flag on fire to everybody who's paying attention. Okay. Again, I want to thank Chris Carter, who joined the Patreon at the mother level. And so every month he gets 2 live sponsorships. And Little Red Sunflower, who's also a sponsor of tonight's live. And a new guy, Avenir, will be sponsoring tomorrow night. So big thanks to the live sponsors. Big thanks to Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server. Big thanks to the moderator team, Feisty, Maddie, Jay, Travis, and Pete. You guys are the best moderators on the Tickety Talk. Questions, comments, points of observation from anybody? Thanks, Kiwi Annie. Thanks, Seawolf. Again, Seawolf, tousle Nutmegger's hair for me tonight, would you? Thanks, Little Red. Thanks, Lars. Thanks, Chef Deb. AFU offers group rate cremations from the battlefield Oh my God, Michael. You are not wrong. Thanks, Carol. I always liked Illinois. I remember one time we were driving to Chicago, and I so carefully timed it so we would hit Chicago right at 6 o'clock or right at 7 o'clock when the rush hour traffic would be declining at on the Danny Ryan Expressway, right, Carol? And fuck, I forgot about the time zone change. So we hit it at 6 p.m. in the middle. I mean, we hit the Danny Ryan Expressway and everything came to a stop. Still worth it though. Madison is a great place to be, as is Chicago. And Bloomington. I like Bloomington. I got a buddy in Bloomington. Thanks, Mike Kelly. Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks, Nicola. Montana. So it's funny, Jeff, but a friend of mine from Ukraine was just in Bozeman and sent me a picture of herself in the parking lot at her hotel. And I know exactly where that hotel is. It's right on the way out of town, going west, right, toward Idaho. And I said to her, "You're at that place." And she's like, "How do you know that?" And I have good friends in Bozeman and have spent a couple weeks there recently. Yeah, love that big sky country, baby. Nicholas says that apparently Spiderweb 2.0 is happening right now. Yeah? Get the hell out of here. I mean, today would be the day to do it, right? If tomorrow is the sanctions deadline, you want to put as much pressure on the Russians today as you can. So I'll take a look, Nicola. FPV bouncing out of cars right now, targeting Russian airfields. Jacko, do we know where? Put Russian construction workers to work rebuilding Ukraine. Put Ukrainians to work rebuilding Ukraine. They need good jobs in this country, boy. Hello, Black Panther. Hey, Feisty. In Saratov, so that's Engels Air Force Base. Engels Air Force Base, that's the base where the Tupolev 160s, right? The only fighter or the only bomber that's still being produced by Tupolev, the 160s. That's where they run their bombing raids against Ukraine out of. I want to say there's backfire bombers there too, Tu-22s, which are nuclear capable and conventional capable. I am not a qualified anti-drone gunner now. So Ben, one of the things that I got to do today was I got to put on the VR headsets that they use to train, anti-drone gunners. Oh my God, I had drones fly into me so many times. I mean, I died so many times in there today. I didn't even make like the novice level basic. I was terrible, absolutely terrible. Yeah, that's why I do this and am not in a machine gun nest. Because I would not last a day. I would not last a day. Right now, there's my buddy from Brazil who says he wishes he was still in Ukraine. He survived the trenches. Oh, you're exposing the full Illuminati docs. Okay. Well, you know what we do with people like you? We block you. And now we never have to listen to you talk about the Illuminati again. I'm no diamond. Nice handle. Hey, Richard Prexis. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Any other questions, comments? Rostov-on-Don is on fire. Heroin Slava, Mark. Hey, Altered Carbon. How you doing? The TV series based on the book was far better than the TV series. Popped up on my Netflix last night, and I thought to myself, season 2 is such a disappointment. Why would I put myself through that again? So if anybody hasn't watched Altered Carbon on Netflix, I do recommend season 1. But I recommend the book much more. Hey, Birdie B, good night. Okay, Stuart, let's just not advocate for that kind of violence. I would much rather see Putin in The Hague. And of course, the attacks on Crimea, the attacks on Engels are mirrored with attacks from Ukrainian unmanned surface vehicles in the Black Sea. Sea babies are active there. Altered Carbon agrees with my assessment of the original work. Michael, every single Yahtzee that was executed after Nuremberg went to the gallows screaming that they were right and that history would vindicate them. And if they were alive right now watching what's happening in the United States, they would undoubtedly believe that they were correct to think that, because Nazis are back with a vengeance, and they are in the goddamn White House. I would love to see Putin in The Hague, boy. I would just love to see Putin in The Hague. Yes, I would. And Trump with him, too. After Alligator Auschwitz. I mean, come on. We're now guilty of crimes against humanity. And this nightmare El Salvadoran prison bullshit. Questions? Any other final thoughts from anybody? Flip, I'm going to the store in the morning and I'm getting us ribs. And some Canadian maple syrup. I'm going to do maple glazed ribs for Saturday. Well, you may have come at exactly the right time, right? When Putin is stressing and looking for an off-ramp. You may have come at a very good time. Oh, Chrissy, my ribs are, Why would Trump meet without EU? Because he's in cahoots with Putin. Everything he does is a gift. Oxygen to the Kremlin. Flowers to Putin. Everything he does. All this sanctions bullshit, we have discussed many times on this channel why it's nonsense and will never be implemented. And even if it were, Putin wouldn't give a fuck. No, everything he does is a gift to Putin. Everything he does benefits the Russians. He is a malign foreign influence who has led a successful coup and subverted the American federal system. It is just that simple. Ron is smoking ribs right now. They'll be done in 40 minutes. Nice. I gotta oven bake mine, and I'm gonna finish them on the grill. Hold your heart, Flip. Yeah, Flavia, it's insane that Americans think alligator Alcatraz is okay, that it's okay to deny basic civil liberties to other people in the United States because they don't happen to be Americans. And that definition of what an American is all hate-based, race-based. It's ridiculous. Not sure. Yes, it's real Canadian maple syrup. You can get a small bottle at the Mega Mart. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I got Anthony hungry. He's putting a pizza in the oven. Oh, that's funny. That's awesome, man. Exactly, Feisty. Well, Feisty is Canadian, so of course she would say that. I am not making fried potatoes or baked beans, Mike. I am not a fan of the bean. I'm just not. I know the British love their beans on toast. I will be very happy to never have that experience. And I can't do potatoes out at the beach. It's doesn't work. So I'm doing barbecue chicken ribs and making a coleslaw. It's got to be Vermont maple syrup. Oh God. Weird fact. I have spent time in 47 of 50 states. And when I say spend time, I don't count a state unless I spend 3 nights there. Got to spend at least 3 nights. Got to spend at least a weekend to get a sense for a place, in my opinion. So 47 of 50 states and the District of Columbia. The states I have, and I'm from Pennsylvania. I lived in New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. My ex-wife and I had a bed and breakfast in Maine. And the 3 states I have not been to are Alaska, Utah, and Vermont. I don't know how I never got to Vermont. Especially when I was a kid, I used to follow the Grateful Dead around, and they played Vermont. And somehow I never got to Vermont. Yeah, Alice, it's ridiculous. And meanwhile, we're granting these huge tax breaks to these billionaires. Oh, I do love Cabot cheese. Let's see. Do you think Trump is setting up to take over the District of Columbia? He doesn't have to take over anything. He has stopped the American federal government in its tracks. Stolen the money from FEMA to give to ICE. Unleashed his brown shirts on Democratic cities in order to stoke the fires of civil unrest so that he can have an excuse to declare martial law or whatever his thinking is. He has destroyed the value of the dollar. We saw the jobs numbers and the revisions. He is plunging the world, not just North America, into a major global recession, into a stagflation economy. At best, recession or depression at worst. Where did I stay in Iowa? Where did I? Cedar Rapids. What a great town. So I was supposed to be there, or I had planned to be there only for the minimum 3 nights, right? But I met these people. I went to this bar. There were these cool people there. We started talking. I ended up spending a week in Cedar Rapids. And of course, so this was during the pandemic. This was during the pandemic. It was winter Not 2021, 21, 22. It was 21, 22. So I feel like it was around Christmas time because I was in Montana for Christmas. So it was probably between Thanksgiving and Christmas when I was traveling. And I got to Cedar Rapids, had a very pleasant evening, and then decided to extend that stay. So that's when that was. Cedar Rapids seems like it's a very manageable kind of city to live in, with a lot of pleasant amenities and decent people. Yeah, Scott. Well, my son is in Alaska, and as soon as he's willing to talk to me again, I will go to Alaska. Do you think? Ha! So, Michael, I feel like no. No, 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 wait, no, wait. Wait, 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 wait. No, pal, that's because Jerry died, right? Jerry died, when was it? August 8th of 94? So right, dude, don't worry. The fact that you got the year wrong says to me that you were really following the Grateful Dead route. I mean, these people who can like give the list of songs and stuff, I'm like, you were not doing that right at all. I don't even know how many shows I was in, man. I don't know how many shows I went to that I never got in. Like I just ended up in the parking lot or whatever, hanging out with some chick and her beetle for 3 days. Trump is all about, oh, Montana's the best. I wish I could remember the name of that bar because basically what happened was I went out to dinner. I went to this bar that had a restaurant, right? And the food was so good. The service was so great. The people were so nice that they had pool tables and like you didn't think you were going to get knocked over the head or anything. It was very, very pleasant experience. Can't buy fireworks in Connecticut, but you can buy semi-automatic weapons from Walmart. Michael, there's not going to be a presidential primary in 2027 if we don't deal with Trump now. Oh my God, he's covering everything in gold lame, like it's fucking Liberace's White House. Yep, I saw that. He reduced the age of employment with ICE to 18. Trump is all about wealth, control, and title. He can control the poor. Him and his regime can buy up. Exactly. That's exactly right. Eugene, Oregon. Like, I don't know what the date was. Like, I don't know if it was 8/8 or if I'm just saying that. I feel like it was around that time. Or maybe that's his birthday. But I can tell you this. Well, we're back. So I wanted to come back live because the live ended sharply and suddenly and most unexpectedly. And so I thought it was worthwhile coming back and just finishing our discussion and letting folks know that I have not been banned. The live ended suddenly because I got banned. But I appealed, and the appeal has been successful. So I am now, again, able to go live. How's everybody doing? Hey, Rocco. I don't know, were you on the live when I got banned a minute ago or so? Oh, it's a little bit longer, 40 minutes. It took 40 minutes for them to restore my live access. 40 minutes. Hey, Rocco. So we are live again. I'm disappointed that they banned me like that because we were really having a very, very pleasant conversation. We were talking about the Grateful Dead back in the 90s, and I got the date of Jerry Garcia's death incorrect. I thought it was 8/8/95, but it was 8/9/95. It was a Wednesday. I know it was a Wednesday because in Scranton, Pennsylvania in the 90s, the Grateful Dead cover band, the Village Idiots, used to play every Wednesday night at a place called J.D. Crackers. And we went to the show, me and my buddies, and sure enough, all the hippie girls were crying, Do I sound like I'm from Russia? What kind of a question is that? Do I look like a murderous, rapist pig to you? Give me a break. Am I from Russia? I'm going to show you to the door. You are not paying attention. Where's my peeps? Why Trump won't support Ukraine but no issue helping Israel? On the Ukraine part, it's obvious, right? He hates Zelensky. Zelensky was responsible for his first impeachment in his mind because he's never responsible for anything. And he's absolutely in bed with Vladimir Putin. There's that part. The Israel thing, I don't understand. He doesn't care about the people of Gaza. You can be sure of that. Jason Will Starin, how you doing, buddy? So, Jay, were you on the live before? I didn't see you in there. Were you in my earlier live? I got back on because I got banned at the end of the last live, and they just restored my access. So, Jay, and everybody else, listen to this. It's very difficult to begin to describe to you how deeply meaningful my day was. What an incredible day it was for me. Look, I've lived in this city for 2.5 years now. We have nearly daily air raids. I have so much respect for the guys who protect the skies over Kyiv and who keep us safe, right? Who guard me while I sleep in my bed at night, and at all of us. And today, I had the extraordinary opportunity to spend the entire day with the mobile air defense units. For anybody who's on my Patreon, tomorrow you're going to see some videos about what we did today and what that was like. But I can't begin to describe the gratitude I have for being able to stand in front of these guys, talk to these guys, and thank them for guarding us in our sleep every night. And seeing how they do it. Jason, dude, 1934. Now it's 2025, right? So 1934 is 91 years ago. Yes? 1934, the Soviets made an autocannon, that in the West we call the Maxim. Well, that's what they use to shoot down drones. What? The bullets for it are smaller than the bullets I put in my Craig 3040 for deer season. Right? Now dig it. These autocannons from the 1930s, the the setup I looked at, one had a production date of 1934, the other had a production date of 1937. So what they did was they took these autocannons and they mounted them on a swivel, right? And there's two of them. So you double the fire rate. And then they've equipped them with a center target for a rangefinder. And that was kind of the first iteration of this improvised anti-aircraft gun that they used to shoot down the Shaheds here. Then what they did was they got a thermal imaging camera and they mounted it beneath the gun. They attached that to a screen display, and suddenly, day or night, you can see those drones far more clearly than you could just using the naked eye. The resolution on this camera, how it brought out small details. The one guy said to me, "Do you see the fishing boat?" And sure enough, on the thermal imager, there was the fishing boat, plain as day. But to look out on the river, it took me a minute to find it with my naked eye. So the other thing, the other thing was we went to the training center and I got to put on the VR goggles and I got to do some of the anti-drone hunting training. Not really training, but just a sense of what these guys go through. I died so many times. I mean, I just kept getting hit with drones. I was worthless. It's a good thing that there's TikTok, or I might have made the mistake of trying to join the army and I would be dead. Oh. No, it wasn't FPV drone training. It was drone interception training. Dude, they have over 50 different weapons that have been synthesized and they use real weapons in the training, right? So you actually get handed, say, a shotgun, right? A real shotgun. The only difference is it's got these digital attachments and laser attachments. And when you put on the VR, dude, the most amazing thing is you put on the VR headset, right? And the gun is completely virtualized, and wherever it is in real life, you see it in the VR. So the guy hands you the gun, but in the VR, you just see this gun floating there in the air. But when you reach out and grab it, it's real. Then, right, you get a round in the chamber. It's a pump action shotgun. It's used for taking out quadcopters, small FPV drones, basically. And the simulation begins. And you have a 360-degree view of the world. And you got to watch your six. You got to take these drones out as they're coming in from any direction. And that was astonishing. They had a real Stinger missile launcher, outfitted with the digital components so that it was all digitized inside the virtual reality. And you could use the Stinger to target a tank. What else? They had a shooting range, and like an indoor virtual reality shooting range. And I'm looking at the targets projected, and they're projected on the wall. I'm like, wait a minute. That's just a projection on the wall. How is any of this working? And apparently, there are sensors that detect the refraction of the laser or the reflection of the laser back to the sensor so that and then that maps the reflection point back to the target that was hit or not. I mean, but what else? Machine guns, shotguns, handguns, stingers, javelins, NLAWs. I mean, the things that I blew up in virtual reality today were amazing. And the weapons used. A shoulder-fired Russian RPG of some make and model I never heard of in my life. But it was Soviet equipment, so the Ukrainians have them, right? It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So, Gordon, I don't know if anybody else is having a problem with audio, but let me tell you why I'm live at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm live at 2 o'clock in the morning because at the end of my last live, I got banned. And whatchamacallit, I appealed it, and it was successful. So I wanted to let people know that the ban is over. There is no ban. I'm back online. And Michael, you were absolutely right about Vermont 95. You were. Because I remember now, I was trying to get to Vermont for that show. Absolutely I was. And I was wrong about the day Jerry died. It was 8/9/95, not 8/8. I said it was 8/8. It's 8/9/95. Oh yeah, Flip was a tanker, a leopard gunner. Flip, I just never saw anything like it. I mean, it's just a projection on a wall. The sensors, I don't even know. I mean, it can't be a laser then, because lasers, the angle of inflection is equal to the angle of deflection. And the sensors were all along the floor. So it's got to be something else. It's got to be something that's like got a waveform to it, right? I don't know. I don't know how it works. But I'll tell you, the server boxes, the crates that the servers were in, were the most durable, heavy-duty server boxes I ever saw in my life. I never saw anything like it. And I used to carry servers around when I was at Microsoft, before we had virtualization platforms. When we'd go to do a show, you had to carry 2 servers with you. And so we had cases for moving them around. Yeah, Michael. Yeah, no, dude, I forgot all about that. I was trying to get to those shows, right? I think they had 3 dates or something in Vermont, way up north by the Canadian border, if I remember. Infrared reflection deformation. Thank you, Jason. I was trying to get to that show. I was trying to get to those shows. But what happened was my business partner and I broke up. I was in an internet cafe business at the time. We were the 6th cyber cafe in North America. Two dates, 2 years in a row. That could well be. Somehow I never got to Vermont my whole life. I don't know why. Yeah. It was something like that. And you're right, it was 95. It was 95. All right. So guys, I just wanted to let everybody know the appeal was successful. I will be live tomorrow night. Avenir will be our sponsor. So big thanks to everybody, and I will see you tomorrow. But yeah, Jason, I'll tell you that today with those guys was really something. And if you can do anything for them, that would be great. And if I can help in any way, please let me know. Man, I miss the 90s. Ugh. Who could ever have imagined? See you Saturday, Flip. Who could ever have imagined that Nazis would be a problem today? It's crazy. Stock Cube, I said I would not leave Ukraine until the Russians had. That's what I said. I will not leave Ukraine until I have had a pig roast on a Crimean beach. So that is my goal, to host a pig roast. Right, Flip? pig roast on a beach. You know, no, dude, when the war is over and Crimea, the Russians are out of Crimea, we're going to go to Crimea and we're going to do a pig roast on the beach. There's a guy I know, he'll raise a pig for us and then he'll slaughter it and we'll roast a whole pig right with an apple in its mouth on a beach in Crimea. Maybe we'll do some ribs too. So Tommy Weber, my buddy, my regular live was ended quite abruptly when I was suddenly banned. I appealed the ban and my live access was restored. And I just wanted to hop back on and kind of finish a conversation I was having with Michael about our youth, which has fled, Michael. Oh, God, it goes so fast, doesn't it, pal? And we were just talking about a couple of things, and I just wanted to hop back on and let everybody know that I'll be live again tomorrow like normal. So anyway, look, it is 2 o'clock in the morning here, and I just finished the download of the live. So I'm going to post that to YouTube and call it a night. So thanks, everybody, for dropping in. I sure do appreciate it. I see, Jay, you messaged me. I'll check that out. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Take care.